Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another amazing episode of EdUp Career Schools, the scoop where every story matters. Today is going to be a lot of fun because we are talking about the admissions process from the very beginning when it comes to connecting with your brand new leads. This has been a huge hole in the admissions process for so long. And now you have to think to yourself, is it because your advisors are overwhelmed? Is it because they're sitting back and not making outbound calls? But there's so many different systems that we can use. One, which is my favorite. So, of course, I had to bring on the founder of TextChat, Mr. Eric Kades, and he's going to walk us through how he's been able to help so many different colleges and universities grab those leads that your advisors may miss. So, welcome, Eric. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me, Kathy. I always love chatting with you, and we see eye to eye on pretty much everything about humanizing uh, the experience for prospective students, being human, and that's what we're all about. Even though we're a tech company, we're all about fostering human connection.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. So, we're all going to want to know what inspired you to start TextChat and why focus on education?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and I kind of fell into it. I had been a contact center executive for 25 plus years, have made millions upon millions of outbound calls, inbound calls, and around 2009, 2010, a live chat software company, when it was a pretty new technology, came to me and said, "Hey, you're in the call business. Why don't you look at this new technology to talk to website visitors?" And I had one higher ed client at that time, and we approached them to try this new technology on their website. And they said they had tried it themselves and they didn't do a very good job. They weren't able to pick them up in time. They weren't available after hours and things like that. And we were a 24/7 contact center. So we tried it, and it became their number one converting lead source to enrollment.
Wow.
And still is to this day. And from that point, I was like, wow, this provides a lot of value to prospective students who are surfing a website that have questions that they can't find answers to. And what a great opportunity for our clients to start establishing a personal connection in a communication channel, an emerging communication channel. And it just fit, and it's been successful ever since.
Wow. Okay. So let's go a little deeper. What is TextChat exactly? And how do you actually help schools? How does it work?
Sure. So we're a communications platform, just like a telephone to some extent. Although we focus on live chat with humans, not chatbots. I know we're going to talk about that later, but with humans picking up those live chats, and then also using one-to-one text messaging at scale to have conversations, restart conversations. We focus on both enrollment and student success. So we're a communications platform. But one of our secret sauces is that we have educated college graduate live agents integrated into our software. So say after hours, you have people on demand that can still answer for you that are well trained on your institution. So that's a really unique thing, that the live agents are built into the software.
Actually, I really love that because there's a lot of schools who use live chat, just live chat by itself, but it's actually monitored by the advisors. And what I've seen over time is you have advisors, they're on the phone and they keep seeing the live chats pop up and they're like, should I continue this call or do I jump onto live chat and now try to communicate with potential students at the same time? And it gets really overwhelming.
It does. Live chat is this weird channel in that it's to do it well, you have to respond immediately. Otherwise, it's a bad experience for your website visitor. And then B, like you said, yeah, people are on the phone and doing other things, and they're like, what do I do? And for me, that person who came down your funnel and landed on your website, that's the second in time they're most interested in school. So it's really important to get them, but yeah, hanging up the phone on a prospective student you're talking to is a problem. So I think that's where we really fit in, and institutions realize that having a third party answer them on their behalf is worth it. So no prospective student gets lost. And then we have the ability to take that prospective student, see who's available on the admissions team, and transfer them to that person during business hours.
Got it. I love it. It looks like it takes a lot of stress off of the advisors too. I know so many advisors, once they know that they're on live chat for the day, they're like, oh gosh, again, I was on live chat yesterday. I need to make calls. I have a bunch of appointments set up, and nobody wants to do it.
Exactly. I'll tell you, there's another thing that we found in some of our testing, even outside the higher ed industry, is as a communication channel, change. We as human beings don't like to have to respond to things immediately. Text messaging, we don't have to respond that second. We can take 15 seconds. We can finish our phone call, and that's okay. The one thing about live chat is that prospective student is expecting you to pick it up quickly, an extra level of pressure when trying to do it in-house effectively. Because like you said, the admissions rep, like, oh, I got to make calls, live chat's a negative, but it really is their hottest lead. So it's kind of this, dichotomy of like, these are hot leads, but yet it's a pain in the butt for me to have to do it.
Yeah, when a potential student logs onto a website and they see the person's face pop up that says, hey, how can I help you? Do you have any questions? That potential student has no idea that you have 10 appointments that's coming through the door for the day. And the bottom line is, it's not their problem either. I'm requesting information. I need answers. Sorry, you have a packed schedule, but oh well, you want me to go to another school?
And honestly, if you're not going to answer them, we answer them within 3 seconds. If you're not going to answer them, you shouldn't have it, because it's setting I tell every prospective client this, you're setting a bad expectation. You're ruining your brand. You're telling people that a live person's going to come and speak with them, asking them for information, personal information, and then no one's there. Like, you're shooting yourself in the foot at that point. So if you're not going to answer them 24/7, you shouldn't have it, is my opinion.
Absolutely. So let's talk about chatbots, because I know that's a cringe-worthy term for you. But then also what happens, a lot of people, they put it in the same category as TextChat. And I know that it's not the same thing at all. So talk to us about the differences.
I love that question, and this is a battle I fight every day. And when I'm out there talking to new clients is, first let's talk about the technology a little bit. So a chatbot is AI or automated messages responding to that website visitor. That could come in many communication channels. That could be through text message. There are AI chatbots that are text messaging with prospective students now. And the way I like to delineate it, it's a weird term that no one really knows, but that little icon on your website is called a chat widget. And now whether AI answers when it pops up or whether a human being answers, in my opinion, and I have the data to back it up, tied to enrollments, it's a game changer in terms of efficacy, because the beauty of live chat is you get two human beings talking together in seconds. It's the communication channel with the least friction of all. I mean, you call into somewhere, often you're put on hold, you got to listen to music. When you pick up a live chat with a real human being, you're talking seconds to you're having a meaningful, empathetic conversation. In my opinion, a chatbot is only causing friction and, lessening rising expectations that you're actually going to get the answers you want or speak with someone. And instead it's trying to answer your questions. It's in some ways a glorified website. Most of the higher ed chatbots I see just point you to somewhere on the website.
Oh my gosh.
And when you have a first generation or working adult student that has a specific question that needs empathy too, a chatbot is never going to win in that scenario against an educated human being on the topic. Now, I will say if you have a live chat scenario where the agent is just saying, can I have your name and number, and someone will call you back, that's probably worse than having a chatbot. You really need to have someone that can answer questions and provide meaningful information to that person as well, which is something that we focus on. We build in-depth knowledge bases with our clients, and sometimes our clients even end up licensing that knowledge base from us because it becomes an amazing storage of information about the institution. It can be used to train new employees and things like that. So, again, let's delineate between that little widget on the website. That's just kind of the channel. But whether it's a person, that's human conversation, or a chatbot is whether that's automated conversation. So I hope that makes sense what the difference is between the two.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it could be a turnoff too. It's kind of like when you're trying to get information for a company. And as soon as you see that widget pop up, it's like you automatically think to yourself, I'm not going to get any answers. And I think the worst ones out there are the ones where you ask it a question and it gives you 5 different articles that you can go to read to get the answer. And then you click on one of those articles and it's like, did I answer your question? No, you didn't. Well, here's 6 more articles that you can actually click on.
And think about this, Chat GPT, everyone's talking about it. And I love AI. That's another conversation, or maybe we could talk about a little bit later. But Microsoft, they own half of Chat GPT. They invested $13 billion in it. I went to Microsoft's website a couple of weeks ago on a Sunday afternoon to learn about some of their advanced Microsoft Azure products. Chatbot comes up. Within 2 seconds, it said, let me get you a salesperson. And if Microsoft, the company that's creating all this stuff, is putting you with a human, let's think about prospective students for a second. What do they need? Let's not start thinking, how do we cut costs? Let's start thinking about how we help students. And we help students with human-to-human connection and empathy and information, and not wasting their time and all those types of things.
Absolutely. I think this ties into the lack of enrollments also, because the bottom line is if your students are abandoning ship at the very beginning of the process, the advisors don't even have an opportunity to talk to any of those people.
No, it's sad. And why live chat is so powerful is we're getting that student at the exact second of time. It could be 9 o'clock on a Thursday night when the kids are finally asleep and they're a working adult, and they, in their head, said, I need to go back to school and further my career. I'm going to go on the website and talk about this. And boom, with TextChat, we're talking to them and answering questions and building a relationship. Now compare that for the prospective student and the admissions officer or representative that gets a lead from Sunday that they have to call back. They can't get back to calling till Tuesday. And the time and amount of phone calls that they have to make to get that person on the phone, we just cut out all of that extra labor and effort in 3 seconds, just because you had someone there, an outsourced solution that could answer it at any time. And that prospective student, 3 hours later, something could change in their life. You might call them 2 days later and they could have had, God forbid, a health issue came up. God forbid something happened at work, they now can't even think about going back to school. You lost your opportunity to grab them at the second they were most interested.
Absolutely. And that's the height of the excitement level also. If you had a terrible time at work for the day or for the week, a lot of people are talking about this or they're thinking about it at nighttime.
Yeah.
You know, when they start to settle in and it's 10 o'clock and they start having pillow talk, you know, and they're like, you know what? I'm over this. Let me go online and see, you know, what opportunities are available to have someone live actually speaking to you. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually a live person at 11 o'clock at night that's answering my questions. Now, from the outside, you would think a lot of advisors are like, yes, I get to come into appointments, but that's not always the case, right? Sometimes you have leaders and advisors who are against this. So what are some of the challenges that you've actually seen or some of the feedback that you've heard from advisors who are like, ugh.
Yeah, you know, we do get that. A lot of times advisors, managers will think, well, this is the job of our admissions department to do this, to be speaking with prospective students. And it scares them. And in public and private nonprofit institutions, and we work with both as well, they say we have labor unions and we have issues to get outsourced labor, but we work with all of them across the board. So those who can figure out just to try it and realize that it actually makes their lives easier when we're chatting with someone Thursday night at 10 o'clock and setting up an appointment in your CRM or in your calendar to come into someone's good mood because they already got good customer support, student support. It's a home run. The numbers speak for themselves. And we get down to the detail with our clients of, okay, this person came from live chat, but they also called in. Okay, great. It's an extra contact, but yeah, they called in, so maybe they were coming too, but we're also able to identify, okay, this subset of people came in first through live chat, and who knows, you know, maybe all of them would have called. I highly doubt it. Maybe 50% of them would have called. Maybe, you know, things change in people's lives. But even when you look at those numbers to how many of those students enroll, it's almost embarrassing to say that the return on investment for our clients is so high. I don't even like to say the number because it's in the thousands of percentages in terms of ROI, but we see it. We have people who have been doing this with us for 10 years. They're hugely successful. They have big teams and they have all the admissions reps they could ever need. And they still realize they can't be there 24/7. They still realize human connections, what's important. And they still realize it's better to have an outsource firm sift through the chats and only set appointments or transfer them to their people when it's a really hot prospective lead. And if you look at the largest trade school, for-profit colleges and universities and their live chat solutions, Strayer University, great example for one. It's a live person picking up that chat within a few seconds. You go to DeVry, it's where you went, Kathy. It's a live chat with a human being picking that chat up with seconds. And these are some of the most successful institutions in our country, and they do great jobs. And there's a reason why they have a live person. It's because they know it converts better than having a chat.
Exactly. I think sometimes from the advisor perspective, they may feel threatened, and it's probably a lot of the old school advisors because, you know, they came through a system where you have the pressure to enroll, and now they're thinking, wait a minute, if this is doing a better job than I'm doing, maybe my job may be on the line. You know?
Exactly. That's always the case with outsourcing. People feel threatened instead of just being a little open-minded to give it a chance and then see how it actually makes their lives easier. Almost every instance, we have that little bit of friction there. And then once they try it, they're like, oh, this is great. We couldn't do this ourselves.
Exactly. And you are the only communication software that have live chats actually built in.
Well, that has live agents built in.
Live agents, yes.
Yes, we are the only software platform where, let's say you want to answer them yourself first. You can make it so you answer first, but if no one on your side picks up within 15 seconds, we can answer it. It'll overflow to one of our agents right away. Your team can go on lunch break and hit a button and it'll automatically go to our team. And you can schedule the hours where you want to be first versus after hours. You can have us do that. There's not another platform I'm aware of that gives the flexibility to let you answer first. I will tell you, most people who try and answer first end up just saying, oh, TextChat, you answer all of them for us. But at least it's there because, and the reason why we built that is because of the conversation we're having. I wanted to remove that friction in the sales process of, oh, no, we got to answer these first. Okay, you can answer them first. Go try it, but you have backup if you need it.
Absolutely, especially in cases where, let's say for an online school, a lot of times they're conducting their interviews the very first call, you know, as opposed to brick and mortar, like their objective is to set the appointment. Right. So that phone call could be about 15, 20 minutes, right? To set the appointment, have the student come in for the school. But online schools, a lot of times that first call could be about an hour long if they're going through the entire interview process, application, paperwork, and everything. So a lot of times when that call ends, guess what? You go back to your lead queue and there's like 50 new leads that's just sitting there waiting to be called, but rightfully so, you were actually on the phone interviewing a student. So those leads, you know, they're just sitting there and nobody can handle them. So this is where TextChat will come in.
Sourcing comes in. You know, I have other friends in our industry who do phone calls, you know, as a third party, and they're working. Finally, some of these nonprofit public institutions are realizing that they're not able to follow up with all their leads, and it's more efficient to have educated people take some of those leads that have never been followed up with and let a third party call them, convert, you know, as well as one thing about TextChat is we take those leads and you can upload them into our platform and you can text them all and re-engage them that way. So those people that you're not getting in touch with on the phone, you can either text them after the fact and try and get them in touch that way, or you can text them first and just say, hey, when's a good time to talk? Because if you can at least get that, maybe it's 30-40% of people that just want to schedule the appointment right over text message, which is certainly more convenient for a working adult than a phone call just to set the appointment, or catching them when they're in the middle of something. In my view, it's a very customer-friendly, student-friendly way to say, hey, when's a good time to talk? So, you know, that's where our technology and just outsourcing in general the ROI can really be mind-blowing to some extent, where it's not about taking the admission representative's job away. It's about doing some of the tasks that are really hard for them to do so they can focus on what they do best, which is talking to students and enrolling students. So, you know, I think some in the trade school industry have really learned that it's very effective to have third parties doing some of that stuff. And I think more should look at it as an opportunity.
Absolutely, because one thing that I really love about TextChat, I know you had explained before, a lot of times if a student is talking to an advisor is talking to a potential student, sometimes that call gets cut off. You know, like if the student gets to a zone where they have no signal or they're going into an appointment, a lot of times the conversation ends there And most students, they don't take the initiative to reach back out to the school after they've come from their doctor's appointment. Their day just goes on and they're like, just wait until tomorrow, right? If in fact it's 11 o'clock at night, to text your TextChat agents can actually pick up that conversation from where it initially fell off earlier in the day. And it's the same telephone number, right?
Yep. And so you can actually, and this happens with live chats as well. You know, someone will be on their phone, you know, driving through a tunnel, or, you know, you lose internet connection and you lose your live chat, you know, conversation. So either if you were on a phone call, you can just put in the phone number and text that person one-to-one. You have their phone number right there. Or if we're in a live chat conversation, you could just push a button and text the person. You don't even have to like take the phone number from anywhere else. We've already taken in the phone number on our form and already gotten the proper authorization to text the person. So we made it the press of a button, and you can see that on our website, actually, how that works. And boom, now you're in a different communication channel. And one of the important things about that we do is we keep the whole conversation thread together. So this live chat conversation you had and talked about, or we talked, or you talked after we transferred it to you, all the topics that were discussed don't get lost. So when you start that text message conversation, you're seeing all that conversation history, so you can start from the end and not start from the beginning again. And we all know that experience when we call into an airline and have a problem and have to start over again. That's like the most frustrating thing in the world, to start explaining what you talked about in your last conversation.
Again. Yeah, I really love that, because in a lot of cases, you know, the student would have to wait until the next morning for someone to get back to them, or you have advisors coming in the next day and they're like, okay, all of these people that came in overnight, now I have to read their story and get back to them. But you have a TextChat agent who actually picked up that conversation 11 o'clock last night, and now you're coming into an appointment.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. It's great. I mean, we see just some high-level statistics. We see of the live chat conversations we have, about 30% of those people will either transfer into an admissions rep in real time that's available, and we can see who's available or not. So we won't send it to you if you're doing work on something else. We'll realize and we'll go ahead and set an appointment for you in your CRM or your calendar. Or those people, if it's after hours, we'll set an appointment or a follow-up call time with us. Then there's another 30% who, you know, right now I'm busy, blah, blah, blah. I can't set an appointment, etc. So we'll follow up with those people for our clients with a text message and say, hey, just want to let you know I'm here for you. We were chatting, but now you can text me too. And then when they text back, we convert another 35% of those people into booked appointments or transfers back to you. So we get close to, you know, in the low 40% of the people we start with, you're talking to in a booked appointment or a transfer. The others are existing students, and then there's a lot of jokers out there, and they're actually bots that are crawling websites and starting chats. And you know, you don't always want your person spending their time, and that can be part of the frustration of even having live chat. You go on the chat and it's a bot there on the other side, just, you know, messing with you. So that's where this third party layer of this tremendous amount of value in that.
Absolutely. And you guys go a little deeper too, right? Like, you're allowed to talk about financial aid, of course, at the school's discretion. You know, those type of responses. Okay. And like, a lot of people call in asking, hey, so what about your placement team? You know, can I find? So you guys actually train to handle objections, but to a certain level where you're not, you know, going overboard or overstepping.
Whatever our client wants. You know, we have some clients that say, answer a couple questions and then try and get them to a admissions officer. Other clients are like, answer as many questions as you can, and especially after hours and things like that. So, yeah, it's all about the knowledge base. For us, our agents are all US based college graduates who've been through the FAFSA process, the enrollment process. They're stay-at-home moms, 100%. They love what they do. And even though they're answering for a bunch of different trade schools, colleges, universities, the questions are similar. So as long as we build a detailed knowledge base with our client, they know where to look and find these answers, and they know what the student's asking. And so we're able to be a lot better than that live chat service that says, hey, can I have your name and number? And someone will get back to you. Or you need to talk to an admissions rep. When can we set an appointment? Well, you might as well just fill out a lead form at that point instead of wasted all your time waiting to talk to that person that says, let me get your information and someone will call you back.
Absolutely. It looks like you guys are able to do a better job than some advisors too. Just saying, I know that's another conversation. You said another conversation by itself, but I preach this all the time because there's some advisors, they just don't have that conversation at all. It's just as soon as they pick up the phone, their mind immediately goes to the end result, which is, I need to get this person to enroll, but you're missing the entire meat of the conversation. Okay.
I know you always talk about that, Kathy, and you're so dead on right. And that's what I love about you, and love talking about things like empathy and human connection and finding out what this person's problems and issues are. Stop trying to sell them. Listen, those types of things are so important.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's where AI, this is my downfall when it comes to AI. I know a lot of schools are implementing different types of, AI systems. Fight this. And I understand that AI is good for automation when it comes to a certain extent, but I just do not believe that AI can replace that natural conversation between two people. AI does not have empathy as much as you try to build it into the system. I just don't feel like any AI system can actively listen to a student.
AI is great for if you need to return a pair of sneakers and get your return label, or, basic questions about a product. But when you're dealing with one of the most significant purchases of someone's lifetime and scariest and most expensive, no AI chatbot is going to help in that process. Now, I love AI, and we're investing heavily in AI on the back end of all this conversation history between humans to identify trends and issues and classifications and all KPIs, all those types of things. But having it replace a human being in as scary a decision of going back to school is just a huge mistake, in my opinion. And I have the data to prove it.
Well, there you have it. Well, just let us know, what kind of schools do you work with? Is there a certain size, or you're just open to any school who needs the opportunity?
Yeah, we do have a minimum in terms of, monthly minimum, but it's pretty low. I mean, if you look at the ROI, one extra student more than covers our minimum. So, and I can guarantee you're going to get one extra student. But we don't care about size. We're about helping students, making this process frictionless for them, being there for them to support them. So we run the gamut. We have faith-based private nonprofits. We have super large public institutions, graduate programs. We have lots of, for-profit colleges and universities and trade schools, and any student that needs help, we want to help them. That's kind of how I look at it.
Absolutely. So if anyone wants to get in contact with you, Eric, how do they do that?
So one of two ways. You can certainly email me at hello@textchat.com, just hello@textchat.com, or you can go to our website and book an appointment right on our website. Those are the easiest ways. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Even if it's a conversation not about TextChat. Anyway, I love talking to people in higher ed. I do it every day, and who knows where it can go.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts for our audience, Eric?
I would just say support students, put students first in your decision making. Don't always think about cutting costs. Think about what's going to be best for the student. This is a business. Even if you're a nonprofit, you have a responsibility to not lose money every year. And if you put students first, just like the best brands put customers first, you'll win. Because our clients that put students first, they're winning. Their enrollments are going up. And the ones that are stressing human interaction, their enrollments are going up. And if you look at if you're in a trade school or a for-profit institution, if you look at the big, most successful ones, they are putting you in touch with a live person as quickly as possible. And there's a reason for it.
Absolutely. Well, Eric, thank you so much for joining us today. I really hope that people walked away with some new tips. Okay, we always talk about student first, right? And I think a lot of times people don't really understand that concept. It's a term that's thrown around so loosely. And it's really about creating the best experience for our potential students. How do you make them feel from the very beginning? And I really think that TextCat is going to play a huge role in building that relationship from the very beginning.
Thank you for that. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening. Until next time, take care, everyone. I really hope that you enjoyed that episode. I have been working diligently to bring awareness to career schools. There's so much that they have to offer our students and our community. Every single role within the admissions process is critical, whether you're a part of the admissions team, financial aid, career services, academics, everyone deserves a voice. Admissions is the first point of contact for your school, so you want to ensure that you have a team who exudes confidence, passion, and a clear understanding of effective communication with our potential students. I totally understand the pain of missed class starts, low appointment and enrollment conversions, and this is why I created Next Level Admissions Training by Motivate with K.A.T. This platform is a step-by-step process, and it is going to train your new and tenured advisors in every single step of the enrollment process to ensure that our students are inspired and they're ready and prepared to start class. Admissions is not easy. It can be very challenging, but it's definitely worth it. So if you're ready to take your school to the next level, head on over to lessons.motivatewithkat.com and check out